Welcome to Persephone Says. I am so excited. I have Emily Clarke here with me. She is the artist and CEO behind House of CLRK, a production powerhouse rooted in their purposeful design, floral fabrication, planning, design, stationery, and more. There's nothing that she doesn't tackle with her audacious team of masterminds behind some of the most viral events you've ever seen. When you see a House of CLRK event, you know it could only be hers. Today, we're going to talk about her background, making money, breaking barriers, and being ambitious, and so much more. Emily, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. We've been talking a lot the last couple of weeks, and I was saying earlier, I'm just so excited to go deeper in our relationship, our friendship, and get to know you a lot better and share your light with so many more people.
Thank you.
Let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
I want to know a little bit about your story and your background, and how you arrived here, because you have such a colorful, literally colorful background.
I mean, I always laugh with my children. I'm like, it was a windy road, you know?
Yeah.
I was actually a social worker.
Really?
Yes. So I went to school for social work.
Okay.
And worked for CPS for a year and was trying to navigate like that world of what will I do and how will I go forward. And I was actually studying for the GRE to go back to school to be a therapist, and started working for a rental company while I was doing that.
I'm like, where did I come in?
And sometimes
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
sorry, social work.
Yeah.
I abandoned for wedding planning. But
Yep.
I do laugh that sometimes like I feel like that degree really set me up for conversations with clients and even employees, you know, just some of those foundational tools have been helpful, you know, when running your own business. And my dream was never to like manage people necessarily. And I call myself a late life creative.
Okay.
I feel like it's just something I started to discover in myself. And when I look back at who I was as a kid, that was always in me. You know, I had these little projects I was doing, or these little side hustles that had that creative twist. But I didn't really allow it in me until later.
Why?
I don't know. It just kind of came later in life. I think I'm kind of a split brain. And so I had focused on other things. But some people don't know about me, that it was one of my favorite jobs after the rental company is I worked for the railroad.
What?
I know.
Wait, doing what exactly?
Right?
Yeah.
I worked for BNSF.
Okay.
And I was on their event team.
They do
And
events.
They do a lot of events.
I hope they're
So
a client now.
I love them. Like, it took me like 2 years to stop saying we about the train.
Really?
Like, you're not there anymore. You know? No, I loved it. It was incredible. So we supported 5 business units, which was really cool. We got to look at just honestly like our economy through 5 different business units. And we had an agricultural department. We worked with people like all over the world, honestly. It was amazing.
Wow.
And I had a really impactful boss that just believed in us. And she'd be like, okay, let's go try this. And she gave us hard challenges, and we had to show up and work for CEOs and presidents of companies. I always say, like, when people are like, our bride's intimidating, I'm like, no, the VP of agriculture at BNSF is intimidating.
Yep.
To this day. If you're listening, Kevin.
Yeah.
But it was really good for me because there was some training and some structure there that was developed, because she would say, you're up before the CEO, which meant when you traveled with them, like that sometimes was 4 a.m. And she had principles and things like that that I needed for me later on that I didn't even know about yet.
How old were you when you experienced that?
I was 24.
So I had a similar experience because I was working like directly with VPs and CEOs of big retailers, and I was 22, and nothing will humble you and have you learn faster than that, actually, and be fearless, because you're like, I'm probably going to fuck up and I'm going to learn from it, and then hopefully not repeat that mistake again.
Absolutely. And I felt like I learned to defend choice, So like I remember one time this VP stuck with me. We had a meeting, and it was my job to come in and like present to him, basically like we would do a 13-day train trip.
Okay.
Long time.
Yeah, oh my God.
And so I was like, okay, like this is what we're having for breakfast. And he was like, why in the world would I serve pancakes to my, it was like it's like such a micro detail, but I walked out of there shell shocked, and his assistant was like, did you bring up pancakes? And I was like, yes. And she was like, you have to remind him this is what people eat. It's a silly example, but I realized that when I opened my mouth, I better be prepared to explain why I made that decision and where that came from and why that was a good decision.
Exactly.
Because it was my job to be the event planner, not the VP. And when I started to act with confidence, he would pay attention.
I love that.
We never had pancakes, though.
Well, I would be like, okay.
And I never brought it up again.
Yeah, I believe that. And so then from there, you had an amazing boss and then you just were like, I'm going to do this. And
Actually, I got pregnant with my daughter.
stop.
And they were like, we love you, but this is going to be hard with a child. And it was. I think what that boss also could see in me is that, because I was like, I don't want to leave, just take a desk job, because we travel all the time.
Okay.
You would go in the office on a Monday. They would tell you on Thursday you were flying to Seattle for a press trip. I loved that, but that wasn't really what I was.
Conducive with the baby.
For the baby and
Yeah.
what was coming for me. And she honestly gave me a gift by saying, I just don't think that you're going to want to just, she goes, how do you go from traveling with the CEO to sitting in the room creating a presentation that may or may not be seen on that same trip? And I was like, I don't know. And at first I felt a little pushed out, but as I look back on it, it was such a gift, because from there, that's when I started my business.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you develop clients? I'm always so curious. You open your doors and it's not, unless you have relationships, which it sounds like you did have some. What was step one from there?
It was funny because I did destination events, because everything on the railroad is a destination.
Okay, I didn't even think about that.
It was almost like, I remember when I got my first job in Dallas, and I thought that was like the biggest win.
Of course.
Because what I had been known for was traveling. I had honestly like good family friends that gave me a chance. And I laugh about what I used to charge, and called up like a friend of mine and was like, hey, I'm a wedding planner now. You want to go be my assistant? She's like, what? Where? In Mexico. She's, what do you do? I was like, I don't know. Let's just figure this out together.
God, yeah. Wow. Okay, so when was that? When did you start officially?
I was 28. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. So how long have you had your business?
16 years.
Amazing. And you've had I feel like you've had so many eras of your business. Like truly so many eras.
The joke in the office is keep her busy enough to not start another business.
Oh my gosh. But I get it though, because you run towards opportunity. And from what I know, you grew up in a family that was all around you. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that.
I think that I grew up watching, number one, my grandfather, who was so passionate about what he did. And it was a generational family business. It was family ranching and oil. And he was very passionate about what he did. And he was very inclusive of his family with that. So I've watched business be a good time. I loved going to my dad's office. He worked in the same office as my uncle, my grandfather. And some of my early memories are going up there. And I love the clacking and the computers and the gadgets and the break room.
The fax machine.
And so I always saw business as like positive and fun. And I knew that was something that I wanted. And I wanted to be around culture, and I wanted to be a part of that. And I do think that speaks to like where I ultimately ended up.
Yeah.
My mom was an interior designer.
Really?
Yes. And
did she have her own business too?
She did. She did. But more than business, what she instilled in me is to see beauty in everything. I laughed because I took my daughter to Paris this year, and I started screaming at Versailles. And I was like, oh God, I'm her. I was like, this is what she used to do.
Yeah.
But she would just point it out wherever we were. She would, have you noticed the color of this room? Have you done? And so it really trained my eye to start to see that way. And so I often think that the combination of the two, having a dad who was an entrepreneur, a grandfather and mother, like that was around me, has helped shape me today.
Completely. And just being able to have access to people who have done it before has, I think, I'll speak for myself because I also grew up from a place of privilege. My dad started a company when he was 30 while I was born. And I think just having access to people who have done it and you can tap is like a superpower. I know it's not everyone's experience, but I do think it sets you up for more success faster.
Yes, I agree with that. I definitely agree with that. And I think the ability to just take risk and trust, like, I would say, like, I knew I had a safety net to some sort, but I also felt an enormous amount of pressure and responsibility.
From whom?
Just from myself, but also I wanted to make everyone proud. I wanted to do well with my time. I wanted to do well with what I was earning and to grow and make a move. I also think when you're a mother and you're making choices about time, there was pressure to have something to show for the time. Yeah. And I don't know that people talk about that enough. That drove me a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
Actually, people definitely don't talk about that at all, I think, because we're choosing oftentimes our clients and our work over our family in order to provide for our family, but also to pour into ourselves at the same time.
Yes.
And to make a lot of money. If you're going to start a company, you better make a lot of fucking money because we want to live a certain kind of way. And I love that you feel that way too and are proud to be ambitious. And so do you think that was just from your upbringing, the pressure you put on yourself, the kids, and then what did you do from there?
I would say like my upbringing obviously showed me that I think making money, like I wanted to be a part of the responsibility of that. I wanted to be a part of the sustainability. I think that my belief is not just about acquiring money for the sake of it. It's about setting my company up, myself up, my family up for the sustainability, but also just to be able to take care of employees well, to be able to build a business that is doing things the right way. I feel like the more I trust the business and its earning potential, I'm able to make those moves and with that confidence.
I love that.
Which allows for me to open bigger doors, try bigger risk, and that's been beneficial. And I'm not shy about it. A man so isn't. And I don't know that women always feel that they can say that. I'm not embarrassed about it. I don't know that we allow ourselves to talk about money enough. It's something that we have to talk about as a team even, because when clients are bringing you big budgets, like it does feel like monopoly. And we want to be really mindful and respectful of their dollars. But it's also a little bit of a game of, but don't under-design just because you assume they won't want to do something. So you have to really allow for that project and that client to lead you and navigate and just be curious. Like, I think you can be respectful when you're curious and just ask questions and listen and respond from that place. You know what I mean?
Right. You've mentioned that proximity and also asking questions when you didn't know the answer really shaped who you are and the company as it stands today. And I'd love for you to speak a little bit more on that.
I'll ask anything. And I'm not afraid to ask for help either. I feel like sometimes we just don't know what we don't know. I didn't want to live in that space and just say, oh, I didn't know what I was doing here. Like when I started the floral side of our business, like I hired a floral consultant and quite literally went to floral school. She would come and she would sit with me. And I remember thinking like, oh gosh, we'll do this for a couple of hours. And then I'm not kidding. The first meeting was like 4 hours a rose. And I was like, oh God, we're going to be doing this forever. Because there was a lot of knowledge to learn. But I wanted to go about it in a respectful way. I didn't want to enter that space and be disrespectful to the peers of mine that had the knowledge, earned that place. And I still call my floral school often.
I love that. Do you pour in from somewhere, as in, do you still find ways to educate yourself and push yourself from a knowledge and truly education perspective? Because I feel like sometimes when we're on like this hamster wheel, stopping and pouring in more can be tough.
Absolutely. I think it is really tough. But I would speak from the floral side of it. It helps me because there's this wealth of knowledge out there that I'm still so curious about. And I think one of the things that makes me go from the floral buying side is knowing when to buy what, where, and using that to my advantage and knowing how to get the best possible, not necessarily deal, but, floral is a commodity. So learning that's on an auction every day and finding relationships and learning like where best to source product for a certain time of year. I love that. I'm fascinated by that. Yes. I think it's so interesting. It's a game to me.
Yeah, totally. It is kind of like bidding. It sounds like.
It is.
So did you just acquire that from experience, or did you learn that through floral school? Like how did you get to this
experience,
point?
Honestly. And then just asking a lot of questions. I will call like our rep in Holland and be like, what's this?
Stop. That's so cool.
I'm like, I think sometimes what was missing when I entered the floral world is I was like, what's all the secrets about? And they were like, what do you mean? And I said, y'all are so secret.
No,
and they're like, we've never heard anybody say it that way. It's true.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I'm not supposed to ask somebody that, I get it. But I don't know if you've ever heard people talk about floral recipes. Like,
oh, absolutely. But I'd love for you to expand on it.
When I found out the word was recipe, I was like, I'm so excited. I can't cook to save my food. Maybe I can nail this. And recipeing floral is pretty personal, because you do find like your magic with what works with what. But also I love asking, like when I can't get what I want, I'm like, what's the closest thing?
Right.
Who's making this? Well, when can I get it? Just like tracking, and I don't know, that helps me. From that side of it, and learning never feels like it's not being applied. That was something I learned in college too. I think it was one of the reasons social work worked for me.
Right.
Is because I was like, okay, I'm going to use it. I love learning about something that I know I immediately need. It's going to improve
That makes a lot of sense. I'm curious to know, when was it in your career where you were like, okay, I'm doing planning and and now we're going to build a floral arm, and now we're going to build
Yes.
Like when did that start? And then also those like punctuation points or inflection points rather, as you've grown, how have you known, okay, this is the moment that we're going to add this?
So it started with planning.
Yeah.
And then, but honestly, I was always a designer. I would say I planned because that was the avenue that got me to design.
Yeah.
But like I was carrying around swatches and tablecloths and china and tinkering with that all the time. And honestly, just getting more honest with myself about what I wanted to do around here was when we could add that officially. And then I could name someone else in my company to be the planner, which allowed me the time to be the designer that I wanted to be. And back in the day, we used to call it like hashtag planning and design because it's like everybody added design. And I was like, okay, design is not just what does a centerpiece and a tablecloth look like. Can you scale a room? Can you tell me the size of a doorway when you walk in the room? That's a designer. You know, you understand environments and how they work with our events. And so I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? I need a product. I need something that is tangible so that they buy in. I had an intern at the time, Jessica Wheeler, love her dearly. And she was a graphic designer. And one day I was like, can you make a sticker? And literally, and she made a sticker and I was like, girl, what else can you do?
Yeah.
And I was like, let's start a stationery company. And we did.
I just got chills.
And
that's so cool.
But I was it was coming from a place of I needed something tangible to buy into this. You're a designer. And it worked. That really helped give us that access to that conversation early on. Because when you start with a save the date, you're talking about colors, you're talking about motifs, you're talking about, honestly, the big picture. And so I got on the ground level of those conversations. And then from there, what was great is what was trending too was personalization to our space. And we could personalize anything. It was like a dance floor, a bar, a stir stick. And again, having that foundational work allowed us access to start selling those pieces. And so then we could start selling environmental design and backdrops and more of what you would think for when you think of set design. And loved that. And then at one point, Kylie on our team had to look at me and she was like, I think it might be tired to hire some guys. Like we were like setting up walls by ourselves. Every girl on my team could use power tools. It was like,
I love that though.
Yeah. And I always said we can do in a ballroom what others do in a warehouse. And we would travel with like tools and build you this in a room. And it worked. But then as we like started to obviously grow and wanted to grow in our professionalism, safety, and our bigger sets, we started to develop that on our team more. And it was in COVID actually that I started Floral. So that was the next piece.
COVID did so many things for so many of us.
Yeah.
So when I became aware of you, I think it was 2021. I had just moved here to Dallas, and there was two specific events that I remember being like, who the hell did this? And no, in the best possible way. No, in the best possible way. Where it was like all lights in a tent. I think it was a glass tent, but it looked like nothing I had ever seen before. Like now a lot of people have ripped that from you, but it was so many twinkle lights all clustered together. That was one. And then it was, I don't think it was carnations. It was baby breath. Yeah. It was like a tunnel. Yes. That I was like, wait, who is this? Who is doing this? This is insane in the best possible way. And it was incredible.
Thank you.
Are those the moments that you felt like, oh, things are shifting for the company? What are those like moments?
That's a good question. I don't know if
give yourself space for that.
I don't think I do.
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, I think sometimes moments that I've had that I'm really proud of is really with our team. I love being able to discover like a skill in someone. And then I'm like, wait, okay, now we can do this and we could develop this. And also just when our team became really strong, it gave me time to sit in a vision seat again and dream about where I want to see the company going. And I would say like when I rebranded, that was definitely what was happening. Is I was like, okay, this doesn't feel like Emily Clarke events anymore. It's not just me. That's totally false. This is a house of creatives. This is a house of people and talent. So that's why I changed the name to House of CLRK, because it felt more representative of who we really were.
And I remember when that shifted and it felt like it was this level of elevation for your company. And I do think that people saw you completely differently. Again,
Thank you.
What would you say your employees would say about you?
Oh, God.
That's my as I'm asking you, I'm like, oh God, what my employees say about me?
Let's see. I think they would say that she can get a little fixated on certain ideas.
Yep.
I think they would say I'm passionate, that I'm working on not procrastinating. Sometimes for me, like design, I can't design on a dime. If you say, design this, it doesn't work for me. So I think they would say that is very true with her. Sometimes it just rattles out of her. And sometimes there's moments where she really has to sit with something. I think they would say she enjoys being an editor at this point too. I love when it's a collaborative effort and we're like creating and thinking about ideas together and then we're fine tuning. That's really the role I like to be in.
I love that.
I think they would say I can be intense at times. That was said yesterday.
Hey, you have to be intense if you are owning your own business and doing what you're doing.
I think my passion can sometimes be intense and I don't realize that. I think I'm learning to communicate better about what that's coming from sometimes. Yeah.
You actually shared with me that over communication internally and externally is something that completely changed the trajectory of your business. And you and I have had a lot of side conversations about this and where I still think that we as an industry have a lot of room for growth.
Yeah.
But I want to hear what you mean by that, especially externally, because I think internally, if you own a business, we get it.
Right.
Transparency, expectations. But externally, what do you mean by that?
I just think that like allowing for some transparency and like clear is kind. My friend Paige has always said that. And I think when we can speak from that place, we allow trust to come in. And trust and transparency are really tied together. And I think especially when you're speaking with clients and they're asking you, okay, Emily, does this really make sense? Is this really worth it for one night? You have to create that relationship. And if I'm not transparent with them about why, where that's coming from, I think that can feel false. You had asked me the other day, kind of, what's your favorite client? And I said, one that lets me get to know them, because I really do to build rapport. And I really like to design from a place of knowing you and being able to create something that's uniquely for you. But I'll poke at you a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's your process to get to know people?
It's a little bit different for everyone because not everybody's really comfortable with questions. So I try to read them early on and just find what's going to be approachable. I'm like, sometimes it might be sending an initial design deck and letting them take space and react to those pictures alone.
Okay.
Sometimes I think it's walking them through it. Everybody has their own process. I remember years ago, I was trying to work with an interior designer and I was really intimidated. And she was kind of like, what's your style? And I was like, I'm never going to ask that question.
Yeah, oh my God.
Because when somebody asks you that, you want to be good at that answer. Or that's how I felt.
Actually,
you want to speak with confidence and you want to be like, I know the answer, but you might not. And so I try to not speak so directly about design that way. I like to ask questions about, what's your favorite hotel?
Okay.
If you think of like where you like to relax or where do you see beauty, people will tell you if you can frame those questions not so direct, I think. And I don't really believe in staying in the wedding space for design. I think that expanding, if you look at anyone creative right now, they're not regurgitating wedding after wedding. They're taking inspiration from an incredible hotel lobby or tapestries. It's anything.
I actually think my hope for 2026 is and beyond is that we stop just copying and pasting each other because I don't think it's helpful.
No.
And it makes it boring after a while. And we're blending together a lot. And I understand social is definitely a contributing factor. There's no question about it. But it's also just like what you said, a tapestry or interiors or tile or
anything,
literally anything.
Yeah.
But looking at someone else's wedding.
I tell clients all the time, I'm like, I'm not going to copy. And by the way, I won't even copy me. And they're like, what do you mean by that? And I'm like, let's take what you love about this photo. What do you like about this photo? If you tell me that, let's make this yours. Because we don't have to lose what you love by just recreate. We don't have to just recreate to keep what you love. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do know exactly what you mean. I also feel, though, that your weddings tend to be so vibrant is the word. Like, not just colorful, vibrant.
I love color.
Yeah, no, I know. No, I don't think it's an issue at all. I think like it's awesome, and I'm hoping, despite the Pantone color,
I went into mourning over this. I like literally it was like, it's not the year for white.
No,
I was like, could we?
No, it's so
we needed something else.
We did. What would it have been if you got to pick?
Oh my gosh, you can't ask
I
me.
know, I'm sorry.
Anytime. I love yellow. I think yellow invokes energy and emotion, and there's something sunny and happy about it.
It's true.
I like adding it in unexpected color palettes.
Okay.
Yellow
for 26. Yellow for 26.
I also love red.
Okay, thank you.
I really do. I really do love red. I like proving that red works. And I like designing a room that red looks good in, because it's not just a red room. But I think that there's a lot of vibrancy that can come from red, a lot of energy that can come from that. And it's unexpected sometimes because people are a little afraid of it.
They are. They're afraid to wear it. They're afraid to be in it. You're right.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm all for the red in my life. We're actually rebranding and making red a dominant color.
Nice.
Yeah, because it's time for change, to be honest.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Speaking of rebrand, so when you were going through your own process to rebrand your business, did House of CLRK just come to you? What was that? When you had to go inward, how is that?
I worked with another company and they asked great questions, honestly. And they probably brought me like their top 7 suggestions. And House was in maybe 2 or 3, but I kept going back to House. And they asked really good questions that, frankly, at first overwhelmed me because I was like, this is going to take a lot of time.
Yep.
But I was like, it should. It was almost a little bit of an emotional process too for me.
I can imagine.
My grandfather and I are like, we're best friends. We're so close. And he is such an anchor for me in life. And so when they started asking those questions, it was really great because it brought out those stories in me and that reflection. And I was like, yeah, I love purposeful design. And I remember the design, like the web designer and branding company was like, I do say this phrase in my head, what's my why? And about life, about design, and she was like, let's run with that a little bit.
Right.
And I was like, really? And she was like, why not?
Yeah.
And so that's in some of our messaging, but it's very true for me. It's very deep for me because there is a lot of purpose in what I do for myself.
Completely. And I love that you had the story of the bull, because I was like, what is this? And it just, to me, it shows your like playful curiosity coupled with this determination. And I keep going back to the word powerhouse, though I'm sure that's annoying to you at times to hear, but that's the way that I see you. Yeah, but I think honestly, other people see you exactly the same way. And so I was like, oh, that makes perfect sense. And it's like an homage to your family. And I think it's really cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
For me, it's fragility and strength together.
Yes. Yes. Can we shift gears and talk a little bit about money?
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm like, before we're both crying, I'm making this a full-on therapy session. So I want to hear a little bit about your perspective on money and ambition. Why do you think it is so taboo? It's not just our industry, but what the hell is that?
I think some of it is like creative spaces don't always have permission to be like seen as like profitable spaces. I don't know if there's a little bit of, maybe that's good in some way. There's some protective energy around that. And I do think that like predominantly women driven industries, people aren't comfortable with women saying out loud that they really want to be successful and they want to make money. And for that to be like a goal, maybe that's a dated view. I don't know. That's just my perspective. But I do think it's shifting and changing. But I don't know that we talk about it enough. And I think in the wedding industry, it's you are allowed into intimate moment with families. So I do think that there's some reverence for that doesn't really go along with, I want to make money. So there's a way, I think, to keep those two spaces differently, like showing up and being the confidant and the trustworthy person that you are. But I don't know that any client of mine would be disappointed in me if I said I was profitable. I think they'd be like, great, maybe you'll be around for our next daughter.
Exactly. And did you, like, when was that point, or did you always operate from that place of profitability?
No.
Okay. Can we talk about that? Because same.
No, because I like to jump into things and ask questions later, which I don't regret. I do think that sometimes there's this perfection attitude that is just, we say we're waiting to be perfect, but you're just scared to try. And I want to try. I always want to try and maybe fail. And I think that when it comes to that shift in my mind, it was probably really more around when we started adding floral to our business. Like, obviously, I've been doing this long enough where I knew where the money was coming from. But when I added a third arm, I got really curious about, a friend of mine's in retail and she taught me the term loss leader. And I was like, I am all of this. Like, I know. And this is why I think you have to talk to other people in other industries. 100%. Because they I was like, go on. Yeah. And she was like, they have a very successful retail business. And she said, we sell children's clothing to bring you in because people come looking for their kids and then shop for themselves. But technically, our kids' clothing is the loss leader of the business. And I was like, obsessed.
Okay, yeah, no.
And so I was like, okay, what's my loss leader? And then what's my profit leader? And being able to crunch the numbers like that, it's not necessarily that you have to give up. Like I would say, like from a stationery perspective, I'll just be totally transparent.
Yeah.
That is not the most profitable side of our business because of the risk that you have to take and also just the management side. If you know that, maybe don't put like your most strength of your company and employees in that side. You know what I mean? From how you organize your dollars and cents, or make sure that is leading you to the part of profit in your business. Like I do save the dates and invitations because the next level, the personalization, is where the profit can be. Does that make sense?
No, it makes perfect sense. No one has ever explained it to me in that capacity. And I was just thinking, like, for us, the loss leader is actually social media.
Interesting. I would not have known that.
Oh, yeah. It is an energy suck, and it is not the most profitable part of my business at all. And also, the environment is changing. So it's how important, but it's also commoditized. So a lot of people can have it in-house for cheaper.
Yes.
You know? So then how do we make us indispensable? Right. AI, CRM, websites, like all of these other things.
But it might get you in the door.
It sure as hell got me in the door many times.
Exactly.
And so I get that completely, but I'm not going to put all my eggs in that basket anymore. Right. That's where I fucked up in my business.
But I think, like, to your question initially, when I was like, knowing that, it's just knowing it. You don't even have to be apologetic for it or disappointed. Just, it's worth knowing. And it's like floral is a great profit for us because of the way I do it. And I'm pretty honest about that when people ask me. But also we cover, when we have services in-house, we can take that on and we don't have to do typical retail margins for that necessarily.
Yeah.
And floral, I think, too, is also about managing weight. It's about managing labor and working from those spaces and knowing where you make your money and where you don't.
How big is your team full-time currently?
People don't realize that.
No, let's talk about it though.
We're a boutique style business on purpose, I always say, but we also have what I call them my full-time freelancers, essentially. That's who's brought in every week for the floral design, stationery, like all of that kind of stuff. I feel like any given day, if you walked in our office, you don't know how many people are going to be there.
Did you always have a small and lean team? Really? And did you just know that going in, that you didn't want it to like overtake?
No, it's just, I think I've been fortunate to get really capable people, honestly.
No, that says a lot about you. It's not fortunate. It's not you being fortunate. It's what you're attracting as a leader.
I would say early on, I probably hired too many people like me. And then I was like, wait a second, you need people that can do stuff you can't do, and personality skills that you don't have. And so I think now our team has a really good balance of that. They are better at things than I am, and I love that.
I love that you are not afraid to say that, because I think a lot of people think that's showing a sign of weakness.
I hate that. I hate that so much.
I think it's such bullshit.
I don't understand it. And I think it's the fastest way to run out someone really great.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. And I actually think it allows you to be operating in your power and the things that make you the happiest.
I think people can get a little credit obsessed. And
in this industry, what? Credit obsessed, Emily? What are you talking about?
Credit doesn't pay a mortgage. Credit doesn't keep a team. And I don't know. I think if you can find your bliss and you can find what you feel good at and what you feel confident in, you can give credit away all the time, because it doesn't matter. And I don't do one thing by myself. And if I did, it would be terrifying. I'll book your bus on the wrong day. Like, truly. Totally. And that's why I don't book buses. But it's an effort and it's a collaboration. And I think that I do think you're right sometimes in our industry that there's a miss there, but it's really important, I think, for longevity to be able to be honest about the way that these things work. And some of my freelance floral designers, they're incredible. I'll never get to the level of knowledge. And I know that. And I pull them aside, and I have one guy, it took me like 2 years for him to believe me when I would ask him questions. I would be like, what do you think? Come on. Because he just wasn't used to that. And I'd be like, please tell me. I was like, I know you. I know.
Yes.
And he's okay. And now we have a cute relationship, and we'll talk, and he'll be like, give me more flowers. I'm like,
there you go.
I was like, you don't have enough roses. I'm like, never for you. But I think just seeing talent and going and, again, being curious and relentless sometimes, you know?
Yeah.
And because there's absolutely, I think there's something so beautiful about hands in our industry. I think about this a lot, actually. If you think about the hands that prepare these amazing celebrations for others, there's so much work and craftsmanship that goes into it.
Yes.
I have a guy who works for me, and his father was a floral designer. And it's like, you have generational, this is so cool. And he can keep anything alive. You can bring anything back from the dead. Like, you can learn so much from these artists. And I think you and I have talked about this a little bit before. There's something in me that you probably pick up on it even when you ask me about money. I always say there's, without sounding crazy, two voices in my head, the artist and the entrepreneur.
Yep.
And they race against each other every day a little bit. And sometimes the artist wins and sometimes the entrepreneur wins.
Okay.
Today, I'm feeling a little more artisty. I don't know, but I know that sounds strange, but
no, it doesn't actually.
There's moments where, like, I look back and I'm like, my goal was not to be the best in the industry. And I don't know that people believe me when I say that, but I think that's the artist in me, because what is best? Do you go to a gallery and say, this person is the only person that can win? This artist can be the only one? You go to a museum and you might have a favorite, you might have something that spoke to you, but a lot can speak to you. And I knew early on, I never really cared about being the best. I just knew I cared about working really hard. And I knew I could work harder than others. That I did know. And I want to be my best. I want to have access to every medium. I want to learn everything. Right now I'm on this like upholstery hunt. I want to start making things, like sewing and all of this. But I don't know. I think sometimes this obsession with being like, are you the best in Dallas? Are you the best in Texas? But I don't know. I don't care.
It's also bullshit.
It is bullshit. It's interpretive too.
It is completely. And I've never heard anyone, especially in our space, say that they don't want to be the best, because in my brain, I actually operate from the same place. And it wasn't until you said that to me, I was like, actually, I just want to race against myself.
Yeah. Yes.
Because you want to one up yourself. You want to grow, right?
I do.
And you are. And I think that's actually more important. And subsequently, you'll continue to put out better work and be a better leader and be a better whatever your vision is at that moment. But I think it's a really truthful, honest perspective. And I think there's so much noise in our space right now that we're like forgetting like the plot. I feel like we're constantly missing the plot of why we started this to begin with and what we're doing here. It's pretty toxic in my brain.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, like, as a parent, like if you take it back to what do you want for your child? What do you want them to see? Do they need to see me be obsessed with being the best? Is that who I want to raise? Is that what, or is that where I tell them their worth lies? And someone else naming them good, bad, or best?
Yes.
And
I never thought about it.
I think that sometimes framing like what I want for them helps me understand what I deserve for me. That makes sense.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that there's just other ways to get success. I think it's important that we stay in that mindset when we can. And there's a lot of noise. And I'm not saying I'm not guilty of getting pulled in or sucked in or, oh my gosh, am I doing enough? We all get pulled into that kind of thinking. But I love little mantras every year. And I had one years ago and it was head down, business up. And I was like, stop looking at everyone else.
Yes.
Look at your numbers, look at your business and see what happens.
I can't believe you just said that, because I constantly say, put your blinders on and just look upward. Stop looking to your left and to your right. It's so noisy.
It is.
And
it is.
Social's made it worse.
Yes.
And honestly, I love industry events, but that doesn't help either. It's not good for our psyche. And so, like, why don't you just look at what your path is? Because good to great for you is what matters.
Right. Totally. Totally.
I think it's exhausting otherwise, to be honest with you.
And where does it end?
Exactly.
Where does it end?
Exactly. You seem so zen and grounded. Where did that come from? Have you always been like this?
A lot of counseling.
Yeah. Girl. Yeah.
I think I'm like finding my zen and just like raising teenage daughters is humbling.
Yep.
And just shifting a little bit of, I wasn't always balanced, and I used to really struggle with work-life balance big time.
Does it exist?
I'm trying. But I used to have this thing in my head that you're only as good as your pipeline. I used to tell myself that.
Oh, fuck.
And I was in counseling saying this. Doesn't everybody live in the pipeline?
Right. Yeah. I'm like,
and she was like, what? Go on. And what she helped me understand was like, that means it's never over. Like you're not present in what you're currently doing because you're only tracking what's next.
Yep.
And I'm not saying I don't get sucked into that at times, but I try to keep that in the forefront of my mind is like, we're not in the pipeline thinking anymore. Be here. And something I do say to our team, I'm like, take a minute, be proud, take a snapshot, an actual snapshot, not with your phone, with your mind. And you've hit a milestone today.
Yes.
You did a job that you've never done before.
Yeah.
You tented over a pool in a day and a half. I don't know, whatever you want to say, whatever wild piece of business you did this week, because we're all doing it, right? Like, but take a minute to know that mattered and that was relevant. And it's not just about what you do next. That has been really helpful for me.
Yeah.
Because I think, and we don't ever know. We might have years where things slow down. You don't have what you had the year before, and that's okay too.
Yes, it is actually okay too.
It is.
To normalize from a post-COVID era. I think people are they're operating from scarcity.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yes.
And it's so damning. And they're not thinking straight as a result. They're thinking like, I did this in 2021. It's okay.
Oh, and I would just say, go read about the economy then. Because you're not the only one. I do think sometimes, and I love our industry, we can get a little insulated with ourselves.
Yes.
And so if we're only listening to ourselves, that's where some of that panic in that circle can come from. I think if you stepped out and you started talking to like retailers, what are your numbers?
Can you imagine?
Real estate. I love talking to my real estate friends. I think sometimes they're forecasting before anybody is.
For sure.
And
for sure they are.
I think if you can step out and get curious in other people's business and other industries, that could bring you some peace because it's not all just right here.
Yeah.
It's actually can't be. And
it's not healthy.
And our clients are not in the wedding space. Our clients are working in those other fields and feeling the economy in those ways. Like you'll see those trends start to trickle to you.
And it goes up and it goes down. And that's just business.
That's
ownership.
business. Yeah.
And I do think right now we've set unrealistic expectations for ourselves at times.
Yeah.
We won't blanket everybody, but I do think that a lot of people are experiencing that, like they're shaming themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think that's healthy.
I don't either. My dad's in the oil business and I think I got this from him because through the years, you want to go on a wild ride.
Yeah.
And he's a producer. So it was like this. And one thing to his credit, as a child, I never felt the swings.
Really?
No, he did not ever show that to us.
Okay.
I'm sure there was enormous pressure for him. Did not let that touch us. But I do see the sustainability in him. Like he's still here. He doesn't let something like that scare him off. And there's times where I'm like, you going to sell this thing?
You're like,
are we scared yet? You know, he's written that. And I think that there's something to be said when you know that you're signing up for the differences in the things that are out of your control.
Yes.
But to your point, not shaming yourself for it. Like,
Yeah.
You're not a bad business leader because the world changes.
Everything
beneath
shifted.
you.
Everything shifted over the past 5 years, certainly, almost 6. But also the environment is like truly so different. How we consume is so different. And all of it. So we have to evolve with it and also just, again, be along for the ride. So I said something to you the other day that I wanted to bring up here because I think it's important, like going back to being ambitious women. And I relate to you a hell of a whole lot and respect you so much. However, I am also guilty of judging you when I first met you. And I said this to her and I was like, did I just fuck myself? Like, she's gonna be like, I'm not gonna come on.
No.
But I was trying to pull back, like, why did I say that? Why did that come out of my mouth? But also, like, where was that coming from? And I think it's because you are so quiet, like, you have this quiet confidence about you. And I thought you were trying not to let me in, but you're like observing.
Yeah.
I think that's my now digest of the situation. But again, I said, I'm sorry on the phone, and I'm going to say again, I'm sorry now. But it's just fucking incredible.
I think that's pretty impressive that you would address it and say that, but then also take the time to consider where that's coming from.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know, I feel like, I wouldn't say I'm guarded at all. I'm really not, if you know me. But I have also had to get a little more protective about releasing energy because sometimes I got to go home with something left for my kids. So I feel like sometimes I'm showing up socially, maybe a little bit different because I'm still preserving, okay, the energy really needs to go to them in some ways. You know what I mean?
Yes. And maybe that's what I was sensing. I have tried to pinpoint what it is. And then I'm like, that's not fair because you serve up a lot of what I serve up to. You are bold and unapologetic and fierce in your business and also empathetic. And you care about a lot of the same things that I care about. And so I'm like, the fuck was that about? But I think I bring it up now because I think we're guilty of doing this a lot, period.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Not you, but I will speak for myself.
Of course.
You know?
I think it's easy to assess a judgment when we don't fully understand.
Yeah.
Or we assume somebody is doing great or nothing. It's hard for that, whatever it is that we do. I smile when you say powerhouse because I wish you could see my car.
I wish you could see mine.
Or like the way that I show up to the office sometimes in my tennis outfit and beanie. Like I appreciate what you're saying, that you see that, but there's a side to me that is me. You know what I mean? That is very it's pretty simple. Like I think we're all that way in terms of we're just trying to get it done. Like,
yeah,
again, my car. But I think it'd be a
Same.
window into what we're managing at times. But
I bring it up because I too operate from the same place. I feel like I'm two different people. There's like the external version of myself that people see, and then who I am, which is all of those same parts, but who I am at the core, which is I think more analytical and deeper and all of those things.
Absolutely. I can see that in you today. Like you have a lot of depth and a lot of heart.
Thank you. So do you.
And I would say, I don't necessarily think it's like a judgment I had for you, but I do think because of the nature of your business, right? Social media, it's about what's out there. And so
it's like you go.
Yeah. But let it like, I love that you have all of this depth to you and that those values really matter to you.
Absolutely.
Because it is your job to push the best version of someone's self.
Of course.
And to make sure that that's marketable and consumable. And
of course.
But I think that you're very unique in that you have the interest that lies beneath and that
absolutely
you care. And I think we share this too. You like to get to know people too.
So much.
Deep down, I'm not great at middle. I know how to say hi. That might have been what you were picking up on.
Maybe that's what it was.
Is I know how to say hi or I know how to do this.
Yes.
Like, I'm a little awkward with, how's it?
So like, right, how's the year? You know what? Maybe that's what it was because I felt like I just know that there is more. And so we were at an event a couple weeks ago and I was like, you blew my mind in so many different ways on how you operate and the way you think. And I was like, holy shit, you were so smart and so sharp. And I'm so happy to have you in my orbit and call you a friend now. Truly.
Thank you.
Of course.
Agree. Very grateful.
So, truly. I'm so happy you're here. I have one last question for you.
Yes.
What is something people don't know about you?
Oh,
it can be anything. It can be random.
I'm claustrophobic.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. We were talking about we don't like crowds. I really hate crowds. I don't know if I'm claustrophobic, but like
I am big time.
Like elevators.
The elevators are okay. I won't go underground.
Oh,
always like
okay, yeah.
Like Luke knows, like if we're traveling, don't take a tunnel.
No,
she's gonna have to go 30 minutes out of the way.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, it's like that.
Yeah.
No tunnels, period. Okay. That's really funny. Where did that come from?
Pregnancy.
Did something happen?
I'm like so dramatic.
Yeah, I'm like
it really, after I had my second daughter, that's when I started to feel that way.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Isn't it so crazy how it like totally rewires your brain? And like,
it is, yeah.
And then it like just shoves everything back and
I'm
lands in a different place.
My friends always say, we never know what's going to come out of your mouth. And I'm like, I see that right now in
Yeah.
this conversation. I'm like, pregnancy.
Yes, totally understand this though.
But yeah, I think that's probably something people don't realize about me.
Yeah, no, I would never know.
Yeah.
Amazing. So where can
I'm a nerd too. That's probably what I
you?
would say. People don't realize how nerdy I am.
Like, what does that mean to you?
I just like back to that floral conversation. I like to learn, I like to study, and like I could sit here and talk about you don't even like just the floral commodity world or something. You know what I mean? Like I love those kind of things. I can get a little fixated on it and
Love that though. I love that too.
And I'm probably always tinkering in my mind. Like I announced yesterday, I was like, I think I have another business idea. And Kylie's like,
oh God.
she's not this year. And I was like, meetings start in January. She's not, but I'm always tinkering in my mind.
I think that's what makes you who you are, frankly. And I, again, relate to that conversation of, I'm thinking maybe we start this. And everyone's like, another thing? Yep. Let's move on it immediately.
Yeah.
But I think that's what makes it exciting to own your own business too, because no one's telling you no, there's no boundaries. And you're up against yourself, as you said.
And sometimes I have this energy in me that I'll be like, if I don't do it right now, someone else will do it. And what will I do then? I can't have it. And I don't know if that's
not the best
sometimes,
but also,
but it does get me going. It keeps me moving.
What a time to be alive. Right? I'm like, there was 2 conversations we had this week where I think my team wants to a little bit kill me, and they're like, 2 new like avenues. I'm like, yeah,
I love that.
Buckle up for 26, babies.
Right.
Like, why not? Why not be stagnant?
And if you're ready.
Exactly. And if you've built a sustainable business, like, it's easier to expand. When
it is.
Sustainable. And
that's a great point. That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Because adding that floral arm was easier because of the systems that we had in place.
Exactly. So what's next in 26? More fabrication? She's going to be building tapestries for us all.
I feel like we have a lot of like great fun projects are pushing me in design, and
that's cool.
I'm really enjoying that part of it. And then our team has things just really buttoned up at the office, and that's really nice. And my daughter's a junior in high school. That's like crazy to say out loud. So I feel like a lot of focus needs to be on her, what her goals are, because she's just shaping up for college visits and things like that. And
just give me chills.
My youngest is in 8th grade, and so high school's next. And so I feel really like in a great place with business, but I don't want to do anything that's going to take away from them right now. I think it's a pretty key time for me to be present.
You're exactly where you are. You need to be.
Yeah.
I
constantly try to get them to come to work with me.
Why not?
I'm like, you want to start a business with me? They're like, no, Mom.
Oh my gosh. Do you think that they'll ever find their way in?
My youngest will like joke about it, but really I think like for her, I see her too, like more this way, but she told me the other day, she was like, I want to be in real estate. And I said, oh, great. Why? She goes, I'm really good at talking people into things. And I was like, I love that you think that's what real estate is.
That's sales, honey.
I know.
But that's honestly,
but it's
really
like
powerful thing to say.
I love how her little mind connect with those too.
But if she's good at convincing people.
She is. She always has been.
So powerful. People underestimate the amount of sales skills that you really need in order to be a successful business.
Agree.
But oh my gosh, I could go on forever. I hope you will come back.
Of course, I'd love to. I've had so much fun.
Good.
Thank you so
happy.
much.
Thank you
this
so
was
much.
So fun.
Thank you
really enjoyed it.
much. How can everyone find you if they're not already following you?
Oh, on social.
Yeah, on social. Your
I'm
website,
like, oh, the worst. Looks like travel with business cards.
Right.
No, you guys can find us. What is it? Like
House of CLRK.
House of CLRK.
Yeah. At houseofclark.com.
Clearly, I need Persephone.
On Instagram. We'll talk about that later. You're on TikTok.
Yes.
Yes, I thought so. We'll talk about that later too. But you're the best. I just love you and adore you, and you're like
adore you too. Thank you.
Incredible.
This was really fun.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Talk soon.
Talk soon.
Bye.